So, today, I've got brand new unreleased gameplay information for Modern Warfare 4's upcoming DMZ mode. Activision moved up our embargo, so here we are, with all the details a day earlier than the reveal of the mode at the Xbox Games Showcase. I was part of a behind-closed-doors call about a week or so ago about this new DMZ mode, and I've got every piece of information that was detailed, spoken about, and explained, including new gameplay features, out-of-match elements like the forward operating base, crafting and looting, a brand new bounty system, and tons more. So let's get stuck in. Drop a like on the video to support it and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more DMZ content from me. When the last DMZ launched, we gained over 150,000 subscribers, and I'd love it if we could keep growing the channel for this new DMZ. Okay, so the DMZ section of the presentation was led by Joe Seacott and Jeffrey Smith, studio multiplayer creative directors at Infinity Ward. And they explained that when they first released DMZ 4 years ago, alongside Warzone 2 and Modern Warfare 2, that they didn't really see it as a proper one, and that this time around, they absolutely do. Quote, "We had more time," end quote, says Jeffrey. The DMZ beta taught them a lot of lessons about what players actually want from an extraction shooter, and they've seen what's been going on in the wider space with all the other titles coming out, players interacting with those and what they like and don't like. And all of those lessons are being applied here in this new version of DMZ. So gameplay is going to be deeper, there's going to be more meaningful player growth and progression, and a tagline that I saw during the presentation was DMZ is, quote, "the action extraction shooter," end quote. More on that later in the video. The narrative behind this DMZ, the story and the lore, it bleeds in from Modern Warfare 4's single-player campaign, where a nuclear reactor has melted down and an exclusion zone has been created around it. This location is called Hajin, a map that's been created in collaboration with the single-player team, and well, it's a pretty big one. It's contaminated with radiation as well. According to the team, the map has been designed to help tell stories through the environment via exploration and discovery, with those things tying into the narrative-driven story missions that you'll have to complete, as well as setting the stage for what you're actually fighting for in DMZ. You're an off-the-book CIA asset being sent in behind enemy lines to retrieve secret military technology that cannot fall into the enemy hands at any cost. You need to infill, secure these weapons of mass destruction, and get out, all whilst interacting with or avoiding AI and the other real player operators who are in there doing the same thing. Now, the AI themselves are more diverse and rich, I'd say, in their implementation compared to previous DMZ versions. But other real player operators, the setup is exactly the same. You can choose to cooperate with these players, you can communicate with them and work together, or you can take them out, steal all their loot, and extract with everything else that you've collected along the way. The Hajin map has several distinct POIs, including Hajin City, Casino, Hospital, Mill Base, Farmlands, Prison, Broadcast, Dead Town, and Fallout, all spread across 3 different land masses: South Korea, North Korea, and Russia. The majority of Hajin is set in the South Korean exclusion zone, where the radioactive fallout is at its worst. And I believe up in the north is the North Korean area, and then I think tucked away in the northeast corner is the Russian section. Now today I can't show you any of this, but what I got to see in the presentation, the map itself looks to be largely land-based with a coastline on the east side and a large river circling all the way round, with bits of land beyond the river to the south, west, and north. Hajin City looks like it's got plenty of larger buildings, more vertical areas, and other POIs look flatter and more single plane. The map is being described as a living world that's trapped in this state of evacuation after the nuclear fallout from the reactor exploding. Air traffic and different convoys of vehicles will be moving cargo across the map. Low-tier grunt AI are scattered all over in different tiers from 1 to 3. And then expanding on the original DMZ set of enemies, we're now going to see hostile elites, dangerous lieutenants, and roaming commanders. These additional levels of AI that get progressively tougher for you to fight. Roaming commanders will include juggernauts, tanks, swarms of drones, and helicopter bosses. Another quote the team used was, quote, "You push the world pushes back," end quote. This idea that the AI enemies and everything happening in the zone is dynamic, so if you engage with it, expect it to come back at you in some way. Now, something brand new to DMZ on this Hajin map is the star system, a bit like a wanted rating, where when you start shooting at and killing enemy AIs in an area, it will end up being reinforced with tougher AI to come and fight you. And this extends beyond just soldier AI walking around on the ground. New vehicle AI enemies will start chasing you, like helicopters with RPGs firing down on top of you, ground vehicles chasing you, and even more. But to complement that new wanted system, there's another new one, the stealth system, which is going to allow you to control the pace of combat against AI. Essentially, we're getting the presence detection systems from single-player games in DMZ, where if an AI is about to spot you, an in-game HUD icon will tell you that, and then you can quickly dip back into cover to stop that detection moment. Any current DMZ player is going to know how annoying it is to get shot by an AI who was looking at you from over 100 meters away. Well, here in the new version of DMZ, you're going to have greater control over that actually happening, which is great to hear. One additional element actually, if you kill an enemy AI with a suppressed weapon, that won't count towards your star rating increasing, which is another way to control the engagements that you have with AI enemies on the map. And as somebody who's basically played the current version of DMZ almost exclusively with suppressors, I think I'm going to continue to do that. Now, the Hajin map is also home to DMZ's brand new dynamic weather system, something that was rumored to be coming to the original DMZ a long time ago, but it never saw the light of day. Well, now it's coming to this exclusion zone. The dynamic weather system was built with the idea that no raid should ever feel the same in DMZ. And while combat and action in the current DMZ on Al Mazrah can feel very different raid to raid, always fighting in a hot, sunny desert does get pretty old pretty quickly. We saw just how fun Al Mazrah can play at night with the Haunted event where the team turns out the lights, and that was pretty awesome. So the team has channeled that here into Hajin's dynamic weather system. So when you infill onto the map, sometimes it will be sunny, but sometimes it will be raining, or it might be snowing, or it might be foggy. Lots of different conditions that are going to impact how your round plays out from the very beginning. Conditions like snow or fog will end up limiting your visibility somewhat. And there's a grading system to the weather as well. So sometimes it will be really raining, like a proper storm, and sometimes it will just be drizzling, and it will just be a bit murky. And the team is working on implementing a ramp up in severity in the weather conditions as the round progresses. So as you approach the end of your deployment, the weather will end up being at its most severe. And all of this again feeds back into the world of DMZ feeling like it's alive. A lot more so than the old version anyway. Okay, so that's the basis of DMZ and the Hajin map, the area where you're going to be fighting and extracting. Now let's dive deeper into some of the gameplay mechanics that you can expect, starting with the different ways that you can play this version of DMZ. There's story missions, dynamic operations, and free roam. Story missions tells the narrative of DMZ. So for example, the team stated that there's a mission where you need to infill and capture an injured soldier from a hospital on the map and then get them out of the exclusion zone so that you can extract some intel from them. Another is needing to infiltrate the military base, which Joe confirmed is the hardest POI in Hajin. When you choose the story missions matchmaking option, you'll be matchmade with a bunch of other teams and players who also have the same mission to complete. Dynamic operations is a bit of a spin on the old contracts in DMZ, where when you choose this matchmaking option, you'll also be matchmade with others who need to complete these contracts. But the steps to complete them are randomized. So for example, maybe you need to take out an HVT or blow up an outpost. You'll know that when you infill into the map, but the steps that you have to take to complete it are random every single time. And then free roam is basically DMZ with the training wheels off, as you currently know it. You know what you're doing, you know what you want to do, so you're going to infill and you're going to try and complete that. Pretty much how DMZ works right now. All of these matchmaking options exist together at the same time, so regardless of which option you take, you're going to be jumping into the same world together. So really, anything can happen. That's the emergent gameplay that DMZ is known for, and that's what the dev team wants to channel with this new version. Next, we're going to talk about DMZ's progression, and this is really important. This time, it's completely dedicated to the game mode and separate from the rest of Modern Warfare 4. And the team on the call many times described DMZ as a game within a game. As you play DMZ, you're going to earn XP from all the different actions that you do, like completing missions, killing AI, killing enemy players, extracting items, etc, etc. And all of that will feed back into your DMZ level and will unlock new features. That experience that you earn will also progress your brand new trait tree, which if you've played other extraction shooters will sound familiar to you. DMZ 1 didn't feature this at all, but it did feature active duty slots which housed different loadouts and equipment that you'd looted during raids. Well, now in this new version of DMZ, those active duty slots are going to be combined with a trait tree for each individual operator. So you can take different geared and different themed operators into raids and lean into specific playstyles that you've built via the trait tree. On the call, the devs gave examples of having different operators specifically that lean into PvP via the trait tree, and then others that are really good at looting and focused on PvE elements. And the trait tree is tied to the specific operator, which is how you define how you're going to want to play. The image that I was shown listed looting, combat, and utility as different branches on this tree. This is going to be a massive upgrade on DMZ 1, essentially building real progression into the mode, and yeah, it goes even further. As you know, when you die in an extraction shooter, you lose all your stuff and you end up back in the main menu. Well, the dev team has developed what they're calling the MIA system. This allows you to bring back or rescue your downed operator from the exclusion zone using in-game cash that you've earned from missions and looting, and bring them back into the menu so you're able to continue the trait tree progression of that operator. This rescue will reinstate your already purchased traits on that operator, any unspent trait points, and the dog tag of that specific operator. But any looted items that you were carrying at the time you were killed are lost. And the kicker is the cost of recovering your operator. The more experience and traits that that operator has, essentially the more you've used that operator, the higher the cost is going to be to rescue them via the MIA system. So it's a little bit like an insurance policy. I think this is really cool, having active duty slots tied with different trait trees, so you're creating different archetypes of operator so you can play DMZ in different ways with different traits and abilities. It sounds really, really cool. Next, we're going to talk about something else that DMZ 1 massively missed on, and that this new version of DMZ is definitely going to satisfy a lot of people with, and that's the forward operating base. This is your new out-of-raid home, essentially, where everything you do in DMZ feeds back into. As you increase your DMZ rank, you'll unlock different stations and functions within the forward operating base, and it's going to visually change in front of you with those unlocks and upgrades. You're going to unlock stations like the 3D printer, which you can use to craft items for your operator outside of raids, a vendor where you can buy different items, the Gunsmith, and even more. You'll have seen other extraction shooters do this. For example, Arc Raiders has a set of workbenches that you unlock and upgrade in order to craft different items. The different vendors that sell you items have levels to them, etc, etc. But where this forward operating base really makes sense for DMZ is with the link into looting that you do in raids and crafting that you can do out of the raid with your 3D printer. DMZ now has a properly meaningful loot table because you'll need to extract different materials and key printer ingredients in order to craft different equipment and gear with your 3D printer. So all of those useless items that you used to see in DMZ 1, things like light bulbs, bandages, AFACs, cigar boxes, all of that back then was essentially pointless. In this new version of DMZ, looting actually matters because if you don't work to bring all of that stuff out with you, you won't be able to craft everything. Of course, you will be able to loot things like backpacks and plate carriers within the DMZ, but not every single time are you going to find that stuff. So being able to craft things back in your forward operating base, that's going to be pretty important. Over time, you'll be able to upgrade your 3D printer so it can craft better items, and if you collect recipes from around Hajin and extract them, you'll be able to craft rare, powerful items. You'll be able to print directly to your operator, ready for your next raid, or you can print items to your stash and save them for later. Each operator in this version of DMZ will have their own loadout as well, similar to the active duty slots that you know from DMZ 1, but this time they don't share any items. So weapons, secondaries, plate carriers, backpacks, lethals, tacticals, kill streaks, all of that is individual to each operator. This is basically the #1 feature that DMZ needed, and it's getting it. I'm super excited. And then let's talk about something that I didn't really expect at all, but I think is a feature that could really explode in this new version of DMZ. It's called the Bounty System. As soon as the team detailed this on the call, my mind was already running away with what this system could end up producing, so let me tell you about it. According to Joe, PvP is the team's bread and butter with DMZ, and they wanted to make sure that PvP was super rewarding as much as possible in this new version. The way the new bounty system works is, when you infill into a raid, if you start shooting and killing other players, unprovoked, so they haven't shot you first, not in self-defense, you're going on the offensive, and you shoot other operators first, the game will start developing a reputation level for you. The more players you kill, the more that reputation builds. And at some point, after you've killed enough players, you'll have a bounty placed on your head. If you keep killing more players and you keep extracting, that bounty will increase and increase and increase. If an enemy kills you and takes your dog tag whilst you have a bounty on you, and they extract that dog tag, they will claim that bounty amount for themselves, and it will be added to their in-game cash amount. If you manage to kill enough players with that operator, and you don't die and people don't take your dog tags, eventually your bounty climbs so high that you'll enter wanted status territory. This means that other players in a match that you're in will be able to bring up their in-game tablet, pay for intel on your location, and come hunt you and try and kill you. So essentially, the team has taken some elements of the old school DayZ hero and bandit system, built it into a feature that works for DMZ, injected the element of jeopardy of you losing your wanted status, and creating an environment where you can either be wanted as like a PvP deviant, or you can be a bounty hunter and try and keep the streets of Hajin clear and top up your bank balance at the same time. The team is also working on leaderboards for this feature, which are going to highlight the top 50 killers and the top 50 bounty hunters each week, and you'll be able to see those leaderboards adapt and change as killers get killed off and bounty hunters keep earning more rewards. And the team has said there will be friend leaderboards as well, so you can keep track of what your friends are doing and maybe compete with them to be the best killer or the best bounty hunter. I actually think this feature is genius. We all know DMZ is a PvP heavy experience, but now instead of those PvP fights being just for the loot, you're playing for a lot more. If you're somebody who likes to kill others and boost their wanted status, you're essentially fighting to protect that wanted status at the same time, because if you die and somebody extracts your dog tag, well, you're all the way back down the bottom again. And if you're somebody who likes to help others and protect them in-game, you can build a profile of being an elite bounty hunter and signal to other players that you're more friendly. An absolutely awesome system. And on top of it being perfect for DMZ, I could actually see this being a big feature that's going to draw in other players, potentially other Warzone players. Well, that was a lot of information. And of course, that all comes without any trailer or gameplay accompanying it, and we're going to get to see some of that tomorrow at the Xbox Showcase. This new version of DMZ sounds incredible, and I can't wait to play it, and hopefully today this video has given you a little bit of an insight, probably quite a bit more of an insight, into the kind of game that we're getting this time around. From what I've learned, it's much deeper, it's much richer in terms of gameplay, and it's chock full of new features that are going to put DMZ right up there with the other extraction shooters on the market, focusing more on action, PvP, and the dynamic world of Hajin. Thanks for watching, leave a like if you enjoyed, and I'll catch you tomorrow for the official reveal of DMZ.